Okay, so sorry about that, everyone. I just need to send this link out again to some more people, and I hope that doesn't happen again. That was really bizarre. Some kind of copyright thing. I wonder what happened. But, right, what I need to do now is send this link out again to people on WhatsApp. Okay, so there are two of you here. Now I need to... This is bizarre. So sorry, everyone. Right. Right, so here we are. Hopefully third time's the charm. Yes, indeed. Very sorry about that, everybody. That's I wonder what that was. YouTube seemed to have detected something that breached their values. So let's hope that this one is the charm. I'm not going to put the music on because maybe that was it. Maybe they didn't like Talis, wonderful music. Okay. So to go without the music, I'll just talk. Okay, so hopefully that settled the issue. Okay, so as I was saying, the books, or the ones on the shelf. Well, I've taken my Caravaggio book down for now, but no, potentially that could be it. But I've been fine for the last few days. Well, yesterday with all the books that I was drawing from yesterday. So no, I'm just not sure. But anyway, we're up now. So oh, good to see you, Leslie. Sorry about that, everybody. That was very. Now, hopefully, we'll have people finding us again. I've emailed the new link to everybody as well, and we're actually running. So let's hope that this doesn't shut down again. All right. I've been showing books and that sort of thing yesterday, and in every video, I think I've had some books on display and showed you pages from books. So I don't see how that could have been a thing. Who knows? But let's see if. Let's see if that's all sorted, and let's hope it is. Okay, so it's been brought to it's been brought to all of our attention that we're going to give a round of applause at 8 p.m. for the National Health Service, who deserve deserve an awful lot of appreciation at this point. Okay, and so at 8 o'clock, we'll be having a break, and we'll be obviously doing that, showing some appreciation. And so getting back to what I was talking about before the disruption, when we think of drawing from paintings, we're not necessarily thinking of that. Good to see that you're back, Joel, and let's hope that this video doesn't cut out. Otherwise we'll have to do a Google Hangout or something like that, which might be good, might be better even. But when we're drawing from paintings, as you know, I was saying earlier before the initial cut-off, we're not thinking of it in a way of drawing from paintings as a way of copying or reproducing paintings. We're trying to get something out of the painting. Okay, so the act of drawing and studying a painting is a way to understand the design of the painting and to get a grasp of what makes the painting so dramatic, and to understand something about the process and of making the painting and the visual dynamics that are effective. And we're trying to take away not a copy of the painting, but trying to draw out an experience that is in a way physically manifested and recorded. Like we're trying to come away with a kind of artifact which has our experience in it in some sort of meaningful way, in a deeply subjective way, but a subjective way which is nonetheless shareable and accessible to others. Okay, so that's what we mean by drawing from old master paintings. All right, and so yesterday we started off with Velázquez, and we ended with Titian, and this evening we're going to start with Caravaggio, who's one of the greatest painters in the entire history of Western painting. And he's such a pivotal and important figure because he responds to the Lombard tradition, looking at people like Moretti de Brescia and Battista Moroni with their technical application of painting, but also Caravaggio's teacher claimed to have been trained by Titian. So we've got this Venetian influence as well, and there's a very, very, very close connection with Giorgione in Caravaggio because of his fondness for the natural imperfections in nature and in the human form, and painting people from everyday life and really looking at expressions, human expressions. Okay, so we've got plenty of you here now to be starting with, and we're going to get drawing, and we're going to do 3 15-minute drawings. Okay, and then we're going to do a longer one after the break. And please remind me if I do lose track of time about the appreciation that we're going to show at 8 o'clock for the National Health Service and its staff. Okay, so I've started the timer. Get your image up of the Caravaggio. All right, now let's hope that this doesn't shut the image down. If it does, I'll be distraught. So let's, it shouldn't do. It must have been the music or something. Okay, so now start drawing, and I'm going to be with you very shortly with my pad and pencil. Okay. Now, everyone who was intending to log in this evening and got cut off, let's hope that they're able to find this new link. We've got 13 of you here, 12 now. But let's hope that people aren't left out. Okay, very, very extremely delighted to have you all here. Okay, so in my drawing, I'm going to start off immediately here, not being cut off. Okay, straight into drawing, 15 minutes or just under now. We're going to go straight into this key figure here on the right, and I'm just going to put in very loose sketch of his body and then come into the shoulder. Okay, because now we're working from this body into the center of the overall image. All right, so I'm just basically mapping in these structural, anatomical parts. Okay. Do you know what? I'm so honored that you're all joining me this evening for this cultural event on YouTube. Okay, as you can see, I've put up some drawings that I've made since starting the process. Not all of them are mine. Some of them are, well, one of them's by Botticelli, one of them's by Rembrandt, one of them's by Andrea del Sarto of this mercenary. Okay, now getting a sense of that brow, that nose as well, his mouth. Okay, so straight away, just plotted the main key impressions, Okay, now getting into that head of St. John. Okay, that hand is slightly higher than that shoulder. And I will apologize again about that disruption. It's the most embarrassing thing. I'm so sorry. There's me getting all excited and getting all emotional about what I mean by drawing from paintings, and then I'll just get cut off. Well, I'm not a really technology person, obviously. Okay. Anyway, let's hope that doesn't happen again. Right. Okay, so as you can see, I've just started off with very light sketch of that figure holding the head of someone, just in a very short space of time. Just put in an idea of that figure and that head very lightly, very loosely, and quite quickly. All right, how long have we got left? Okay, so we're 4 minutes down almost, and I'm going to get straight in to Salome. She's holding that head of St. John. Okay, and I'm just going to put in her main parts in relation, in relation to his figure, this murderer. Okay, so I'm going to situate her in relation to that figure. So use him as a point of reference. And don't forget that you can send me messages or images anytime. And during the break, I will be replying to you all, and hopefully get to see some of your drawings. You've all got my WhatsApp, or you can just text me or ring me, or whatever. I will respond to all of you, okay? Because this is a community, and we're all part of this wonderful traditional cultural heritage that we are engaging with and being a part of. Okay, I really want you all to feel that what's going on out there in the world, in the country, we are not just without our past. We have a culture which we're a part of still. Okay, so here now, sketched in basically the whole thing very quickly. This is very much the initial lay-in of all of those key parts. Now I'm going to turn the volume right up, and in the line, not in the music, because I'm scared that that's going to get me in trouble again, but in the line. I'm going to draw over this drawing, and we're going to see how much of it changes, okay? Because one thing that we have in drawing is creative freedom. That's something we have all the way through. We're not going to hesitate, and we're going to accept that a lot of the things in this initial sketch is going to change, because drawing can be something really relaxing and something really liberating. And remember that we're not copying. There's no pressure to copy or duplicate the Caravaggio here. We're trying to respond to it in a really subjective way, and in a way that grants us a real kind of connection to the painting. And we're drawing out something, and we're creating something new. We're not creating a copy. We're actually making something new through this activity, okay? And don't forget that although we are creating something, that's not essentially what drawing consists in. Drawing fundamentally consists in the act of drawing. And it isn't, when you're drawing, you're not necessarily making something. The end, the thing that results, the thing on the paper is something that is a product, but the drawing itself consists in the physical activity, okay, which is one of inquiry and exploration and creative freedom. Okay, so here we are. You should all be very relaxed, and you should all be really transported. So straight away, going into that shadow under the armpit, okay, you have to draw a lot of tone in this painting, from this painting, okay, straight away, getting into that clavicle, that bone there, the collarbone, as it's more commonly referred to, okay, as it's very reasonably referred to. Why call it a clavicle when it is really a collarbone? All right. Okay, so here now coming into that arm again. Unusual for me actually to start working into a limb, but it provides such an important and pivotal axis in this painting, doesn't it? That wonderful arm coming out permeates into the center of the overall image. And notice how I'm doing line quite hard, and I'm also doing tone simultaneously. That's a really important thing to develop. Okay, it's really useful. You're still here, good. Not been cut off again. God, that was so embarrassing, and I'm deeply sorry about that. I should really know what I'm doing, but I don't. Okay, so that neck coming out the head is just wonderful, isn't it? Okay, I love that light on his left shoulder. Okay, I hope you're all drawing, and I'm so sorry that yesterday, I'm so terrible. I'm so sorry that yesterday I had my WhatsApp, my notifications off. So there was me thinking, oh, nobody's messaging me. And then when I stopped the video, I I had literally thousands of messages. No, I didn't. I had about 4. Okay. Don't let me forget the thing at 8 o'clock, because that is vital, okay? That is absolutely... Do you know what? I might set my drum kit up. Okay, so look, I've just gone right into this figure now. You see, working into him, that wonderful figure, and I want that arm to really come out, all right? Because he's presenting us with that head, okay? Now, I want that arm to come up. Now I'm going to go straight into that head, because that head is right in the middle. Now remember, drawing from paintings, not drawing a painting, we're drawing from the painting. Here, we want to have something on our page that reflects this time that we're sharing with the history of art. That's what we want. We want that artifact. We do want that artifact, but that artifact only arises if we are relaxed and if we draw with freedom. Okay, discipline. We are practicing our skills as well, and skills are quite a primary value in drawing, because there is technique and principles. Okay, I'm really carving into the hand now. You should be drawing you should be very active. Your hand should be moving around. You should be really letting any kind of stress just dissolve and dissipate. Okay, any sort of negativity should be just leaving the room, okay? Because this can be deeply therapeutic and transportive. Okay, you're still here, good. So paranoid about you just getting cut off again. Not being able to give this to you at this time not being able to share this with you at this time would be, I mean, I just would not be happy, okay? Being able to share this with you at this point is, I just think it's, essential. Okay, how long have we got? Oh my, just under 4 minutes. I'm going to have to crack on. Okay, so there I am so far. That head now, very sketchy. All right, it's just like drawing from the real thing. Just like when I'm in the National Gallery, it's one of the most important things in my practice, okay? It's going to the National Gallery. Used to go twice a week. Not at the moment, obviously, because she's closed. But as soon as those doors are open, I'll be in there like a shot. See how I'm not smudging? I'm doing this hatching, and I'm doing it very quickly. I'm basically rushing. I'm disobeying Leonardo's orders, because what Leonardo said is, until you've mastered drawing, you should, well, he said young apprentices. I still consider myself an apprentice. You know, although I don't have a teacher, I still consider myself to be somebody aspiring to be like a Renaissance apprentice. And one thing that Leonardo said in his treatise, which he didn't publish, unfortunately, he didn't publish it, but Francesco Melzi compiled his notebooks, and his student Francesco Melzi, compiled his notebooks and produced something resembling what would have been a published treatise on drawing by Leonardo. Well, a treatise on painting, really. And there is notes on drawing where he says the apprentice should practice accuracy before speed. Okay, but I say these times we want creative vigor, we want creative energy. Okay, these sessions are about you maintaining a connection to the history of art and feeling connected to this wonderful heritage and culture that we all share. Okay, these masters can actually partake in our daily struggles, and we can rely on them to be part of our lives. Okay, they can enrich our lives creatively, spiritually. Okay, and the great philosophers of the past, like Plato and Hume and Kant, Spinoza, Simone Weil. She was wonderful. Okay, so I've got this really rough sketch. Okay, remember that we're just warming up as well. I did do a sneaky drawing before I started the stream, just because I haven't been drawing very much. How long have we got? Just over a minute left now, everybody. Hope you're having fun and feeling alive and rejuvenated, letting this kind of historical tradition really benefit you. Okay. Don't forget, you can comment anytime. You can message me anytime that the phone's been quiet, shows that you're all concentrating. Now I'm going to try and get that expression in his face. That's one of the wonderful things that Caravaggio really drew from Giorgione, was the expressive face, the visuals of expression, and the coarseness of some people's faces. Okay. Okay, I think I might have overdone that face a bit. I need to get that brow. Remember, the likeness really consists in the structure. Oh, last seconds. How am I going to check if you've stopped drawing? I'm not going to be able to. Okay, so here's mine. Well, that must be doing your head in. Okay, so here's mine. Very rough, very quick, quite aggressive. Okay. So, there's my drawing. Okay. How are you getting on, everybody? Everybody okay so far? God, it's still running, thank goodness. Oh my God, it's not 8 o'clock, is it? Oh, 20 minutes. All right, everyone. Don't show it, she says. Oh, Leo. Okay, well, I like it. That's a great drawing. Don't show it. But thanks very much. Very nice, John. Okay, so we're going to... Blimey, both of you, Joe. Fantastic. Oh, well done. Do you know what I'm going to show? I was going to leave it to the break to start showing people's drawings, but I think we've just got to do it, really. So Leona's asked me not to show her drawing, and so I will oblige there. But I think that's really good. I'll flash it. I'll just flash it at you, everyone. Okay. Oh, it's flipped. There you go. Look at that. Excellent. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Jonathan Bowen. See, trust you to do something that good. All Jonathan does is draw all day, okay? That's why. Okay. Excellent. We're moving on to Masaccio next. Here we go. The heroic Joe with his and his wife Sophie's drawings. Cool, look at the difference between them. Fabulous, Joe and Sophie. Really beautiful. And I'm so delighted that you are both joining us this evening. And I really hope that this is providing, a wonderful sort of historical respite, okay, for all of you. Okay, Peter Kuznicki, you little devil. Do you know what? Very Renaissance, Pete. I love it. With your sort of dark ground and your white highlighting. Yeah, that's great. And you've really captured the inclination on the head. That's a lot of the emotion is in that. Yeah, fantastic. Beautiful. Lots of lovely. Okay, that is Danny. And that is a brilliant drawing. See, look at that lovely tone. Very nice, Danny. I love that. So you've all got those really good high resolution images. Okay. Oh, cheers, Danny. Okay, so I've just about gotten over the stress of that initial hiccup of getting cut off. I thought I was going to let you all down, and that was very, 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 very frightful. Anyway, one point while we're all at home, we're either at home or a lot of us are working our asses off, aren't out there. Volunteer again quite soon. Okay, so now we're going much further back. See, Caravaggio was born in the second half of the 16th century, but now we're moving on to an artist from the first half of the 15th century. So more than a century before Caravaggio. Caravaggio is really post-Renaissance, into the future, away from the Renaissance, from the early Renaissance. But this is Renaissance proper. People like Masaccio, people like Mazzolino, people like Fra Filippo Lippi, people like Pisanello, people like Ghirlandaio, Domenico Ghirlandaio. These artists really did pioneer the Renaissance style, and Masaccio was so fundamental in developing Renaissance art because he was the first one to really apply linear perspective into painting. He, there is a lot of the scholars think that he collaborated with Filippo Brunelleschi to paint the Santa Trinita in the okay, there's an amazing fresco there, and the perspective is just immaculately designed, and it's astonishing. It's a really beautiful early Renaissance painting from the early 15th century, so the early 1400s. So we're coming back in time to Masaccio now, and we're drawing just the Saint Jerome. Okay, so don't worry about St. John. We're just going to draw, this figure of Saint Jerome here. And if you want to get the line in, we can. So I'll start the timer for 15 minutes now, and I might just move my easel so that you can, I don't know, so that you've got a better view of what I'm looking at as well. Okay. And okay, so I'm drawing from this image here. Okay, I'm not going to draw it on a big paper, a little warm-up sketch, but I did show you all yesterday, my last session in the National Gallery a couple of weeks ago. I drew that from Parmigianino, that little guy there. All right. And then the National Gallery last, and I drew that one by Andrea del Sarto. And the last page of drawing I did in the National Gallery was that one from Titian. That dancing figure there from Bacchus and Ariadne, where Titian referenced two great Roman authors, Catullus and Ovid, for the story of the meeting between Bacchus and Ariadne. Theseus abandons her, and Bacchus falls in love. Anyway, so Masaccio, here we are, Saint Jerome. I'll start the timer. Hopefully some of you have started already. Okay. Oh, got an image from Theo. I'll show you that one in the break. Okay, thank you very much for sending those in. That's really, really brilliant. Okay, so straight away, I'm going to just draw a kind of like an outline, really. Okay, so his head, those shoulders. Okay, so here, look what I've done. Basically, I've basically just drawn the shape of Saint Jerome. Yeah, really lightly. Then I'll start working into that shape. I'll pop that sort of hat in, okay? And now I'll separate some of the key things. Is it 8 o'clock yet? Okay, so in 10 minutes, we'll take a pause, okay? I'll put a timer on for 10 minutes. That way, I'm not going to miss the thing. Why does St. John the Baptist look so inebriated? Anyway, he does, doesn't he? Why does St. John the Baptist look so inebriated? Pete, good question. I mean, he looks inebriated. I don't know whether it's booze or some other sort of narcotic. But from a historical analysis, I don't think I can answer that. Okay, so now I'm just looking at all those shapes within that shape now. This is what I love about early Renaissance paintings, is that it's all shapes. Well, the whole world is seen as just shapes and stuff, isn't it? But in these early Renaissance things, they really serve the development of drawing, because people like Masaccio, so important in the development of drawing, because people like Michelangelo would study these. That's the real reason I draw from my Masaccio in the National Gallery. I've drawn this a couple of times. The best one I did was about 5 years ago. But with Masaccio, he was so important in the development of Western painting that in the Renaissance, people like Michelangelo would copy Masaccio's. And in fact, Michelangelo's earliest surviving drawing, from when he was about 15 years of age, is a drawing of a Masaccio drawn in the Cappella Branacci in the church of in Il Chiesa di Santa Maria del Carmine. Yes, and that place is just amazing. I was there with Leona on our 30th birthday. Not the January just gone, but the one before. And we were also in Florence on our 30th birthday this year, 2020, back in January. And I can't wait to go back. I've been talking to lots of my Italian friends today. And me and my friend Tommaso, who's in Milan, said we'll go to Florence again and have a calzone. And I said, I can't wait. Okay, so what I've done so far is very quickly sketched in the whole shape. Now I'm starting to look at these folds in the fabric. I've drawn in all of the other shapes. So look, I've drawn that, started off with that overall big shape. Then I've drawn in all the shapes inside it. Okay. We were 30 twice. Oh, sorry about that. We were there for our 31st. Well, I mean that's good that you can all hear me. Have I got any tea left? Oh, okay. Now, because this is only a 15-minute drawing like this, you can spend quite a while on. I think I've spent over an hour drawing this painting in the National Gallery before. But I'm just going to kind of cut some corners and just start putting in some really hard edges, okay, and start building up some hatching soon as well. Okay, so when you look at Michelangelo's drawings of Masaccio's, he kind of starts off with an overall shape, and then quite early on he starts developing cross hatching. Right, so that's if he was drawing from Giotto or Masaccio or anyone else. I mean, those early studies from when he was a kid into his 20s, I'm only really aware of drawings that he did from Masaccio and Giotto, actually. And I've seen all of the drawings, and they're all in George Talmay's collected works of, the complete works of Michelangelo. And those pen drawings, some of them we don't actually know what they're copies from, but there are sort of close similarities. I don't talk like this when I'm drawing on my own, but I might start. Just start, talking while I'm drawing at home. I mean, I am at home, on my own, yeah. Okay, so I put little line in there. I think I ought to, really. Okay, so just draw him in. I love that little line. He's so tiny, isn't he? Right. So you see how I've started reinforcing some of the important edges. Okay. Cool, I've got 14 of us at this point. Okay, so now some very kind of general tone. Okay, so I'm going to work into this area first up here with some general tone, just to give a sense of the tone coming across like that. Okay. Don't be worried about drawing from line to line, drawing tone from line to line. Okay, so it doesn't matter if your hatching crosses certain lines. But I'm going to go that far at this point, and then actually I'll come up here. Okay, so I want a bit of light. You want a bit of light coming down that middle bit there. So just do some more lines to distinguish those two areas. All right, and then there's that wonderful fold underneath his right hand. Do you know what? I might keep doing YouTube. I actually find it quite exciting. It really is frightening, though. Never had any thought to post videos of myself. But, doing it as a community thing with people that I know, people that I've met before, it's actually quite nice. And it's also a nice way to encourage more wider interaction, because my whole purpose is to encourage more people to interact with our history of art and to let it enrich more people's lives. That is the real purpose. That's my purpose. That's not just the purpose of the Renaissance Workshop, but that's my purpose. And also to do art obviously, hopefully one day. But I might keep doing YouTube because it does kind of allow me to potentially do that with more people. Okay. Oh, I've got some messages through. So in a minute, we're going to take a pause, really. Just under a minute, we're going to take a pause to, show some real appreciation for the effort and amazing courage and commitment shown by the National Health Service. Okay, so here's my sketch so far. Very quick, very rough, just carving those forms in. Really, I'm going to put this down now. Okay, so it's basically 8 o'clock every. It's a lot like a 2-minute silence, really. That's what it feels like. It's just riveting. People who are attending now this session are staff in the National Health Service. We have an anaesthetist, and I just hope that we can actually really, here give some space for some art, and hopefully it will be beneficial. Okay. And if you know any other people who work in that sector, who provide care or help, in the front line in dealing with this crisis, then and if you think that they might gain something from these online classes or anything, then feel absolutely free to share it with them and put me in touch with them, and whatever, anything I can do to support those with art and that, we will. I will. All right. Okay. You can hear fireworks going off now. Okay. Good. I'm delighted that. I'm so that people are really kind of good. That's what I was just saying. I'm glad that everybody. I have a sense that the selflessness and the selflessness and everything of the people working in that situation, looking after us. People are just in awe. People are just in awe, rightly. Okay. So now I've got more images now. Keep them coming, everybody. Joe, Mr. Lipton. That line you've drawn there is just simply stunning. In fact, that whole drawing is simply stunning. You've got to keep that, okay? We're going to have a bit more time on it. I'm going to put 5 more minutes on the timer. Oops. And I'll put 5 more minutes on the timer, and we'll come back. We'll carry on with it. Anthony, you're drawing colour. Do you know what? There's so much support out there, and Anthea has, obviously been hearing it, and is really, Anthea sent a wonderful message in that she can hear so much support everywhere, and that is just fantastic. And people actually appreciate. Okay, so here we go. That's Anthea's study. She's got St. John as well. She went for both of them. Good for you. Okay. And so we've got Theo's Salome from the previous drawing from Caravaggio. Wonderful. Excellent. And Jackie Franklin. You've learnt to send images. I recognised your handwriting with the date. Look at you with Salome and the head of St. John. Your hatching on St. John's head is beautiful, Jackie. Okay, that very soft hatching, that hatching being very loose and not so inhibited by the lines. That's exactly what you want to be doing. It's fantastic. Okay. Noah, first boldness there. Really good. Fantastic. All right, so we've got a few minutes left now, 4 minutes left. We'll carry on with our St. Jerome and St. John if you're drawing both, okay? So yeah, I'm going to work mostly on hatching. Page really have volume. I heard lots of people outside. I heard people banging stuff as well. That's so good. The solidarity in this country is amazing, And I really think that there is a lot of solidarity. Right. He was a really odd man as well. I mean, the story of his, the reason he's canonized is that he translated the Bible out in the desert. That's why he's often depicted in a study, and he's very often depicted. He's identified as Saint Jerome in the art, in the visual arts, because with the lion, because our tradition is that the tradition is that he granted relief to a lion who had a thorn in his paw. That's why that little lion is down there with his, he's raising his little paw there. Very, very sweet little lion here. Do you know what? I love cross hatching. I'm doing a very rough job of it, but we're trying to get a lot of drawing done tonight. Remember that it's not copying. I hope that I managed to get that across. That here, when I go to the National Gallery, we do not copy. We are drawing something out from you're extracting something through drawing. Drawing is a kind of physical, corporeal activity whereby you draw something out, you extract something from the painting for you, and something that you can share with others. Okay. And I'm very lucky because I'm drawing from these books. But if you've got the screens, if you've got the images on your screens, then you can really zoom in, because those National Gallery images, they really give you some high resolution images. This is great. So here's mine so far. I've just sketched in St. Jerome. All right. What do you think of mine, everybody? It's shit. No, I hope not. Compared to some of yours, it definitely is, though. All right, so we've just got a minute left. And I'm going to get ready for the next image. We're drawing Frans Hals next. Oh, amazing. Another different period of art. Yeah. So you can see how up my street that book is. Making Renaissance art. That's what it's all about. So we're going to do another 15-minute drawing. Okay, so we're out of the Renaissance again. We can't really consider Caravaggio Renaissance because the Renaissance had lived at the Renaissance had kind of reached its zenith. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. Hope that didn't give you a headache. Okay. And so here we're not just after the Renaissance, but we're very much after Caravaggio. Frans Hals was born in the 1580s when Caravaggio was a young man working in Rome. And Frans Hals is a remarkable painter because he lived through that initial influence of Caravaggio, but he's sort of a generation after the immediate painters who were, well, actually, no, that's not the case. Frans Hals was trained by Carl van Mander, who was a Dutch mannerist. Okay, so these are the guys who were influenced by the Italian mannerists, who transported the influence of Italian mannerism into the Netherlands. And it was people like Frans Hals and Hendrik ter Bruggen, and who were just, brought that influence of Caravaggio into the Netherlands after mannerism had been so dominant. And it's quite remarkable that Carl van Mander was a man who had this sort of really energetic and flamboyant and completely fearless and unrestrained style. The brushwork is just totally incredible and effortless with Hals. He's one of the best technicians in the whole history. And the influence of Caravaggio on these Dutch painters was so profound that the Golden Age paintings are very much indebted to Caravaggio. The Dutch Golden Age paintings, you can't understand the Dutch Golden Age painting without understanding the influence of Caravaggio. Luscious in Hals. It's painted. The reason it looks watery or moist is because the technique is wet in wet. Caravaggio painted in layers from dark to light. He had the whole canvas very dark, and then would put the lights in at the very end. Whereas this painting by Hals was probably done in one session. It's all painted wet in wet. Alla prima is what we call it. We call it alla prima, which means in Italian, at the first. It's what it means. It literally means at the first. So that's the style of painting used by Hals. And what Carl van Mander really observed in the history of painting, because he was a historian of painting as well. So Hals is taught by a historian. He was taught how to paint. He was, was trained by a painter who had quite a lot of knowledge about the history of painting, because he wrote sort of like a Dutch version of Vasari's Lives of the Artists. And one of his ideas was that the painter should learn a very fine technique, very, very kind of closely observed technique, very highly polished and finished technique before experimenting with a looser technique. And he said that the loose paint, but then when you step back, it comes into focus. And he thought that was that required the most skill, and that was from looking at Titian, especially late Titian. Because if you look at early Titian, his career was so long that there was an incredible amount of artistic development going on, and that's quite uncommon because the life expectancy in those times was so short compared to what it is now. But Titian was semi ineluctably he was his career just went on and on and on and on and on. He worked under, two of the most important and most powerful monarchs of the Holy Roman Empire, Charles V, and then his son Philip II, Prince Philip, who became Philip II of Spain, and he was just so immensely influential. And his late paintings are incredibly loose, partly to do with his failing eyesight, and that he had the plague in his later years. But Carl van Mander, was a champion of this loose technique, and Frans Hals became its very exemplar, of this loose technique. And it's wet in wet, so while the oil paint is still wet, it's worked into and manipulated and molded. And this technique is just amazing. And if you look at the strokes on the skull, it's just incredible. Oh, my skull's quite similar, actually. Well, one of them. Yeah, look. Quite similar. I've drawn her a lot too. This is one of my favourite paintings in the whole world, not just in the National Gallery, but I just think it's one of the greatest paintings ever. And it's not a portrait; it's a vanitas. It's sort of like a visual poem about the juxtaposition between the youthfulness of the sitter and the the symbol of mortality in the skull. Okay, so let's start drawing. I'll put a timer on. Hopefully some of you have started drawing already. I'm just going to give myself a shorter amount of time because I've been waffling. So I'm going to do a 12 minute drawing. Okay, so I overdid the timer, and I'm just going to get straight into it. Okay, so I hope you've all got your image, and I hope you can see my drawing. And I'm going to go straight in, just like I would in a life drawing, to that kind of big upper shape. I'm going to draw basically into his shoulders. Okay, I hope you're all enjoying this, everybody. Okay. Oh, I need to move my chair. Okay, loved seeing your drawings, everybody. Oh, there's so many more. Okay, so in a bit, we'll look at some more of your drawings because they're all so brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to put that hand in. I love that hand. And you know what? Hals is one of the greatest painters ever. I actually consider Hals to be one of the greatest, just like Titian. And what is so extraordinary about this period, so the 17th century, Diego Velázquez, the greatest painter of all time. Okay, he's born in 1599. He's active until the 1660s. All right. When he dies in 1661, I think he dies. Velázquez, that skull's too big. Velázquez is alive at the same time as Hals. Sir Peter Paul Rubens actually know each other, Velázquez and Rubens. Anthony van Dyck, Rembrandt. El Greco dies in 1614. Caravaggio dies in 1610. And that means that Caravaggio, Frans Hals, Sir Anthony van Dyck, who's also born in 1599, the same year as Velázquez, Rembrandt and El Greco are all alive at the same time. And these painters are some of the greatest artists ever. It's just so. What was happening at that period of time? Imagine being alive then and having access to one of these painters, and the fact that some of them knew each other. I mean, Velázquez is connected to Van Dyck via Rubens because Rubens spent 9 months living with Velázquez at the court of Philip IV at the Alcázar in Madrid, and then when Velázquez was staying, when Rubens was staying at the court of Philip, getting to know Velázquez as well and really kind of mentoring Velázquez to a degree, persuaded Philip to send Velasquez to Rome, to Italy, to see the great masters. That's where Velasquez would have seen Caravaggio's paintings in Chiesa de Santa Luigi de Francesi, with that wonderful series of the life of St. Matthew. And those would have just completely transformed Velasquez's vision of painting. And Rubens was also the master of Sir Anthony van Dyck. Anthony van Dyck wasn't apprenticed to Rubens, he was apprenticed to another Flemish painter. But as a journeyman, before Van Dyck became a master himself, was actually under the employ of Rubens in Antwerp. And then when Rubens visited the court of King Charles I, King Charles couldn't get Rubens to stay to be court painter because Rubens was too internationally famous and could take, everybody wanted Rubens. And he was also kind of a polymath as well. He had some political offices, as well as being one of the most remarkable draftsmen and painters. Van Dyck ended up being here with Rubens and was given a knighthood by Charles I and also a very generous stipend and a house on Fleet Street. So our greatest British painter was actually an immigrant from Antwerp who became an English nobleman because Charles I, appreciated the remarkable and exceptional ability of this ridiculously gifted and precocious talent, Sir Anthony van Dyck, whose paintings I adore. Good draftsman as well, could really draw. So yeah, our heritage is so amazing. There are some good English painters though. Sir Thomas Lawrence, William Dobson, and a lot of really great British painters. Well, not really a lot of great British painters. We had to import them. First really, really astonishing painter in this country was Hans Holbein the Younger, under the employ of Henry VIII. And we didn't have any decent painters here until Van Dyck, after Holbein died. God, I'm talking too much. Talking too much and not drawing enough. Story of my life, really. I just love that hand. I just think everything about this painting is remarkable. Cool. We haven't been shut off again, have we? No, thank goodness. Yesterday, we had a nice session. There are only a few people logging in. And I fucked up because I had my notifications off my WhatsApp, so I didn't see the images that people were sending in. And I somehow managed to disable the comments on the chat. I really hope all of you are having an experience where you feel really connected, not only to the history of art, but to each other, because we really are doing this together. We're exploring the collection of the National Gallery. We're drawing from the paintings. We're gaining something from the paintings. That's what drawing means. Stealing, basically stealing, because we're taking these ideas You don't get anything from copying. You get a copy, but you don't want a copy. Take a photo, or you can download an image if you want a copy. You want a drawing. You don't, but you want to do the drawing more than you want the drawing itself, because it's all about the experience of drawing. How are you getting on? Jonathan Bishop is here again. Good man. Oh, no problem, John. It's an absolute pleasure. I just couldn't take this line down. You know, I'm not going to stop my classes. I've built a connection with all of you, and I like you all, and I really care about, you know, just letting the history of art carry on affecting and, you know, it has to remain active. You know, I have to keep the history of art. People, you know, it just has to. It can't stop. It's our culture. You know, it courses through our fucking veins. You know, the history of art is just totally vital. And I think in these kind of weird times, the history of art can be really, really helpful. Okay. Cool, I've got lots of images coming through. And I've just got a message from one of my friends from Florence, a voice message. I'll listen to that later. We're all almost in the same bloody boat now. Anyway, cool. How long have we got? Yeah. Can't wait to get back to life drawing though, everyone. Isn't that going to be fun? I hope you're drawing loosely and boldly and enjoying this. And I hope you're kind of realizing how much the history of art and the history of Western art and Western culture can be actually really participated with and interacted with, and can be a very kind of productive and life enhancing and life affirming thing. Okay, because this is in our DNA. This is, you know, and I want everybody to know that. I want everybody to have a chance to interact with that and to get something positive from it, because I think it's overwhelmingly positive, this wonderful tradition. I think it can really benefit everybody, and I would love to see more people from all parts of the world participating in this sort of thing, you know. So here's my one. Okay, let's see some of yours. So now we've done our 3 initial drawings. Sorry for swearing earlier, by the way, that was very rude. But and I won't do it again. But let's see some of your drawings. Now I've got lots of them already in to show. So let's have a look, shall we? Cool. Okay. So Danny Mansfield, here's your Masaccio. I love that. That looks like a sculpture, and I love the squiggly. I love those squiggly bits, Danny. Really good. In the book, you know, that beautiful squiggle in the book there. Excellent. Oh no, it's wrong. I haven't got him up. But that's really good, Danny. I love that. He looks very solid, you know. Here we go. We've got Jonathan Bowen. He's been to the National Gallery with me before, many a time. There we are. Very graphic, John. And you've got that nice bit of intoxication there. Oh, that's a nice one of the howls there, John. Very nice. Very nice. Leslie, I thought she'd try. Oh, he's a hard little guy to draw. He's very hard to draw. His face is very hard. But good on you for trying that. That's a really good bit of drawing you've got there, Leslie. Yeah, really good bit of drawing. You've really captured the very subtle angle he's got on the head. You're very good with angles, Leslie. Amazing work. And you've got young Master Theo drawing on paper for once, are you, instead of an iPad? That's good. We've got Saint Jerome there. Excellent. Theo, very nice drawing of the skull. Lovely bit of volume on there. Excellent, Theo. So good. And we've got young Mr. Noah Rush. Noah Rush, don't make me blush. Do you know what? I love that drawing. That is fabulous. Where's Sal, by the way? Is Sal still here? Look at that wonderful drawing by Noah. I love how you've kind of left. You've really just suggested the fabrics there, and you've just focused on those important bits. That interesting hand, the skull, and the head, and the inclination on the face is very good. You know, you've really drawn from the painting. You've not tried to copy it. You've really got the point of this kind of practice, because this is essentially an artistic practice. Okay, we've got another one from Danny. We've got oh, that's beautiful. Look at that stunning face there. Lovely, Danny. I love the feather as well. Really great. That face is excellent. That little line you've got underneath his eye, it really brings a bit of light to the lower eyelid. You know, so it gives it more volume. Really good use of line there. Excellent. Joe and Sophie, is Sophie still drawing? You went for the face as well. Very nice. God, you know, I'm so happy. I'm so happy that you're all drawing from Franz Hals. That in itself is so good. I'm just so happy that you lot are actually drawing from old masters. That is so wonderful, because that is the history is being interacted with. You know, the history is being appreciated, and the history is actually living again through all of you. That's a stunning piece of work, Joe. Whose is that? Is that yours or Sophie's, Joe? That one. That sort of brown and grey. I love it. I'm going to have to download that image so that I can. That's Sophie's, is it? That one. Joe, come on, man! You need to up your game. That is a wonderful bit of work. She must have been to art school. Have you been to art school, Sophie? You know, because you seem to know you seem to have some real skills. You know, but that's just lovely. I'm rotating it. There we are. You know, I love that. Mixed media, you see, everybody. And there's so much that hasn't been drawn, which is kind of realized there. So subtle, so elegant. That is wonderful, beautiful. Okay, so Con's so happy. She's blushing. Ah, sorry. Excellent. Really good. Now we've got Sal Anderson. What's going on? of the young man with the skull, the howls there. That's it. That's what it is to draw from paintings. Thank you so much for sending those in. And the Masaccio. Got some lovely late medieval, early formative Renaissance stuff there. Look at that. That is wonderful. The St. John of Salome. That's what it is to draw from paintings. Beautiful. See, the drawing has got to be a process of constant sort of creative indulgence. To drawing, you've got to kind of navigate that line between decadence and nobility. It's creative indulgence, and you're indulging in the self and in those basic impulses. But drawing has a tremendous sort of moral worth as well, in the courage and focus and prudence and self-overcoming. There's a great Nietzschean ideal to the process of drawing, and you're not copying. There's no slavishness to it. There's something deeply noble about it, but there is an indulgence as well. So drawing is this kind of superlative activity. It's this amazing way to connect to things and to analyze things and to make something a part of. You're not just looking; you're actually responding in a very profound and amazing way. So no, this is brilliant. I'm so glad you lot are getting some. And I want Jackie Franklin's drawings now. Jackie, can you send some images in if you're still here? Who is Sophie and Joe, says Leona. So Joe Lipton was at one of the classes in Beckenham last year. Session tonight. It's just great. I got a lovely picture from my friend in Florence. They're not doing the live stream, but they've just sent me a picture of their family, Valentina. I won't show that because it's Biro. Who's this one? Who's this? That's a good one. I like that. Whose drawing is that? That's a lovely drawing. Aren't these all just fabulous? Jackie, good. Good to see some from Jackie and Anthea now. Jackie Franklin, I love your drawing of the house. That is amazing. Really amazing. Absolutely. Oh, the John, that was your masterpiece, was it? The Biro. Anthea, oh yes, there you go. Look at that. Beautiful bit of Conte pencil there. Yeah, no, I love it. That is great. Fantastic. So glad. Oh, so good to hear from you earlier as well, Anthea. So great to see some more of your drawings. So, Jackie, we've seen 2 of your images already, your Salome with St. John's head. And so there is still more. Oh, if you need, if you need a break, to go to the restroom or put a kettle on or something, go for it. I love this book, Frans Hals book. Amazing. So fortunate to have so many lovely books. Okay, so now we're on to Velázquez. This painting, I just think this painting is just one of the greatest cultural artifacts in the world, because one of the greatest artists ever, at a point in his career when I mean, this is such a personal painting to him as well, because this was, in his second, he has a mistress, and we know that she did fall pregnant, and we don't know anything what happened about the child, but we have enough evidence to suggest that this painting, the Rokeby Venus, may well actually be a painting of his mistress. We know that he had one because we have documents, economic documents, that he paid for a wet nurse. So we know that he did actually father a child in Rome, and this may have been a portrait of a painting of his mistress, and he fuses that sort of personal experience with the mythology. So Venus at her toilet is the expression, because she's kind of in her bedroom getting, ready, with the Cupid holding up a mirror. Now, seems original, but he did pillage the history of art. Velázquez was a master at he had access to an amazing wealth of paintings, because being court painter, being chief painter to the king, being, to Philip IV, was an amazing thing to be for any artist, because at the Alcázar in Madrid, at the court of Madrid, the Spanish Royal Collection was obviously accessible to Velázquez, and some of those paintings in there, they had an amazing, an unmatched collection of Titians in Madrid, because Philip II, Philip IV's grandfather, so Velázquez's patron, Philip IV, his grandfather, Philip II, commissioned many paintings from Titian, including the Six Poesie, so the paintings in response to Ovid's Metamorphoses. And also he had numerous Venus, as well as a reference from Jan van Eyck. Okay, because the Arnolfini Wedding, which is in the National Gallery as well, by Jan van Eyck, history of art. And that's something that actually generates originality. And that's one of the things that I kind of focused on in the V&A workshop back in February, that actually engaging with the past, engaging with the history of art, actually generates creative renewal. It actually creates something original. And don't ever forget that some of the greatest problems have been dealt with ancient knowledge. So when Filippo Brunelleschi, who I mentioned earlier, who collaborated with Masaccio, he actually solved the problem of the Duomo. The Middle Ages had this, in Florence, had this intellectual crisis whereby no one could design a solution for the dome, to place the dome on top of the cathedral, because the base was too big. No one who could put a dome that big, that high. And Brunelleschi solved that problem with ancient principles. Okay, the ancient principles of linear perspective. And in ancient Roman and Greek painting, we now know that they used linear perspective, and in the works of Vitruvius and Pliny the Elder, we know that they are very well versed in the principles of two-point perspective. Okay, and you can't solve an engineering feat without the design. You have to be able to design something and work something out visually and mathematically and geometrically. These advancements in the arts have all been made with a connection to the past. Okay, the Renaissance is literally a revival of ancient learning, and with mannerism. When we were talking about the Dutch masters and the Dutch mannerists, they're reviving a sense of the expressive body from the antique. But that was radical and new. Okay, they're doing something with the history, and that is something that is immensely empowering. And that's one of the things I want to get across to you all, is that interaction with history can actually generate something original and new. Okay. So here we are. We've got until the rest of the evening to draw from this painting. Treat it like a life drawing. Okay, treat it like a life drawing, and that way you will get the most out of it. Okay, so I hope you've all started already, that you haven't just been letting me waffle on at you. Okay. Do you know what? I think I am actually going to Come back in a moment. I think I just need to go to the gents. Well, at least you're here, Jonathan Bishop. You know, you don't need your pencils. You can draw with anything. You can draw with a biro on the back of an envelope, like you do when you're talking to somebody you don't want to be. Not that I ever do that. Okay, cool. And this painting is just so sumptuous. And if you think back to the Hals, to the Frans Hals, that's that same technique. Okay, different handling, completely different handling. But that's wet in wet as well. That's alla prima. Okay, so in the first go, and that's how Velasquez basically painted. But Velasquez did work on a dark ground, like Caravaggio did, and worked it from dark to light. And Frans Hals did. He worked on a more sort of a medium ground. Really, John, must have been really important number. But Hals did work on a kind of medium-toned ground, but Velasquez generally worked on a much darker ground, very dark, earthy brown ground, like Caravaggio. Caravaggio used different grounds. In some of them, it's kind of quite a medium, sort of sienna color, but Velasquez generally used a ground made out of the earth of his hometown, Seville, clay from Seville, ground into a pigment and applied to the canvas mixed with some lead white to help it dry. But yes, I mean, wet in wet, and you can really see the looseness of the handling, but the immaculate modeling. I mean, that's why he's the greatest ever. He is just the greatest painter ever. That painting is just so absolutely remarkable in every sense. When Manet visited Madrid and saw, well, not only Les Menines, but the paintings of the disabled courtiers, Manet was just transfixed. And Sargent, there's an anecdote that Sargent, Goya, and Manet were all at the Prado at the same time, gawping at Velasquez. And Manet thereafter referred to as Velasquez as the painter's painter, simply because from a painter's perspective, he's just the non plus ultra. You know, he's just peerless, utterly peerless in terms of technique and ideas. But don't forget, those ideas are always informed ideas, informed by the history. And we're not only drawing from the paintings, we're also drawing from history. Okay, and so I'm going to start off with her hips, I think. Start off with her hips and then work up to her shoulders. Okay. He was an amazing guy as well. He had a slave called Juan de Pareja, and he freed him. He trained him how to paint, Velázquez. When Velázquez was in Rome, I think it was in the first time he was at Rome, he had an audience with Giovanni Pamphili, the newly elected Pope, who took the name of Pope Innocent X. That's why you've got that amazing portrait of Giovanni Pamphili at the museum, Il Museo dei Dora Pamphili in Rome. You have that wonderful portrait which hung outside Giovanni Pamphili's office while he was Pope in the papal, hung outside the papal office. And the one that Francis Bacon was obsessed with. He painted that portrait, and on the same visit to Rome, he joined a number of Rome's very prestigious societies for painters, and they had an exhibition in the Pantheon. And he hung his portrait of Giovanni Pamphili alongside the portrait he painted of Juan de Pareja, his slave, Moorish guy, Il Moro, Moor, so North African guy. And to hang a portrait of the Pope alongside a portrait of a slave. The history of art is full of surprises. In fact, history is full of surprises. History is often misrepresented. European history is very misrepresented. If only people knew more about the history of art, they'd understand more about Western culture and how absolutely remarkable it is. Full of wonderful surprises, amazing surprises, sometimes harrowing surprises, heartwarming and, uplifting surprises. And, when you look at somebody like Velázquez, you realize that actually the history of art is a great way to access a history of the whole, world history, cultural history, intellectual history. And I just think, having a bit of history is just incredibly empowering. One of Nietzsche, all too human, Nietzsche says that the congenital defect of all philosophers is their lack of historical sense. Everyone should read Nietzsche. Wow. Not only one of the best writers, but just one of the most remarkable thinkers. So helpful and informative. We've got Theo reading Nietzsche at the moment. Hope it's been inspiring. Getting more messages from Italian friends. Italian friends are in London, actually. Oh, I've made a big mess. That blurry face of hers. I really appreciate all of you coming to, taking some time out of your evening to, do this. Really meaningful to me. I don't think I would. I just don't think I'd be happy if I wasn't doing something where I was able to promote the use of history in the arts. Next week I'm going to be doing this weekend I'm going to be experimenting with Zoom. Okay, I'm going to be setting up a Zoom thing for next time. And hopefully I won't get shut down like I did on YouTube today. I must have done something wrong. I don't know what it was. I think it was the music, because they've tolerated me this long without music. Blimey, it's coming up to 9 o'clock, but I'm not going anywhere tonight. So I love that some of you have been using colour. Yeah, so here's what I've done so far. I've just sketched in very kind of lightly and roughly the whole thing. Oh gosh, I got a like now. Who was that? Who just gave me that like? You get a free class when we're back on, okay? Free life drawing class. Ah. Very nice. This is Monsieur Bishop, isn't it? Fantastic. John, you must have been drawing while I was nattering away. That's brilliant. Look at that, everyone. That's Jonathan Bishop's. Oui, Monsieur Bishop. Excellent. Love it. That is stunning already. So I guess you must have been drawing while I was waffling on, which is a good thing. Oh, lovely. Got some more. What are you drawing, Danny? Danny, what Danny Mansfield? What are you doing? What are you drawing? Just show me. It doesn't matter. You can draw whatever you want. Leslie, look at that. That is beautiful. That's a lot better than mine. That's a fantastic drawing. So gifted. I can see bits of rubber on there, though. You've been using a rubber, I can see. It's okay. Anyway, have a lovely dinner now, Leslie. I hope you have a wonderful dinner. Oh, that's Diana and Actaeon, Danny. You're drawing Diana and Actaeon, isn't it? No, it's Diana and It's Diana and... That's a Titian, isn't it? I think I've got that one. It's one of Philip II's Titians. Oh, that. Guido Reni. Where did you get Guido Reni from? God, it looks so Titianesque, though, your drawing. I'm looking at Titian now. I'll find you one to show. I'll show you a Venus with a mirror. Noli mi tangere. Oh man, the gallery needs to open. Here we go, look. The paintings have the same name. Okay, so it's a Titian in the National Gallery of Art in Washington. and the NGA. Okay, and we've got a Venus here with two Cupids holding a mirror by Titian. Do you all see that? Okay. See you next week, Leslie. Good to see you. Lovely that you joined us tonight. So you see this Venus now? She's looking in the mirror, being held by a Cupid. Okay? So Titian Velasquez would have been very well aware of that kind of thing. And there are also reclining nudes by Titian of Venus with with a where she's being having a mirror held for her. But I can't find one and don't want to take forever doing this. Oh, God, I want a Titian. If anybody of you were wondering what to get me for my next birthday, just any Titian would do. Too much, man. One of my heroes. Who else has been in touch now? Of course, it's gone 9 o'clock now. Okay, so we've got more being sent in. Theo, very nice. Blimey, look at that. Excellent. Oh, how are we gonna? There we are, look at that. That's Theo. Write down your comment, Theo, with your Instagram name so that people can find you on Instagram. Oh, and share your drawings on Instagram and tag the Renaissance Workshop as well. Ooh, look at Leona's Venus. That's great, Theo, says Jonathan Bishop. So, you two drew from Velasquez together at the last National Gallery workshop, didn't you? I remember, John, you were drawing the Velasquez of the Virgin of the Immaculate Conception, where she's standing on the moon. I love that. And then Theo was drawing one of them as well, while the rest of you lot wrote this one. Cool, bloody hell. Come on, Noah, you lot can really draw, can't you? Man, this kid can draw. That's Noah's. Fantastic, Noah. Absolutely brilliant. Beautiful drawing. Blimey. Excellent. Mr. Bowen. Jonathan Bowen. Another one of these lovely drawings with the white tightening on the toned paper. Look at his belly sticking out there. Very nice, John. Excellent. Yeah, no, the fabric, Jonathan Bishop, the fabric in that painting is just unbelievable. It's almost like he just splashed it on the canvas effortlessly. Totally incredible. Oh, got an email from Jackie. So Jackie's run out of battery now and she's off. Have a wonderful good night's sleep, Jackie. It's so wonderful that we're all coming together and participating in this tradition. It's incredibly good. I hope Joe and Sophie are getting on okay with their drawings and everybody's all right. Where's my... Oh, who's that? Oh, there it is. Now I better crack on, really. I wonder if I'll get to kind of finish the drawings I started yesterday. Oh, that's so nice that so many of you checked in today. Some of you that I haven't seen for a long time as well. So delighted to see so many of you come and do some of this. And next week we'll be setting up a Zoom. And also I'm going to think of doing something else as well to kind of make sure that I've got something to... I need to develop something for maybe a weekend or something, which like an online course or something like that I'm going to have to do. Sal, have you got any more drawings? Really looking forward to trying out Zoom. I just hope it's easy to use. I'm terrified of technology because I don't understand it. I don't know how it works. But, you know, I've actually learnt a lot about YouTube today. as you can tell, as you know, had a massive disaster. That was horrible. I couldn't believe it. Sorry about the music, everybody. I was just, after what happened, I thought, oh God, I better not. No session tonight, potentially. Sal Anderson and Kaznicki Pete. Oh yes, look at that. Look at that. Pete, I love that. On the same page. Look at that, everybody. Oh, cheers, Noah. All the best. Thank you very much, John. Good to see you. Look at Pete Kaznicki's. That's fantastic. I love that. On the same page. I love it. I should really be doing that to save paper. I've got some being... Look at that. Stunning. Really lovely. Cool. 9:10 now. Okay, so here's where I'm at. Just starting to kind of build up the drawing. All right, I'll do a little bit more. Try not to rush it. So it's just over a week ago now. It was last Wednesday I made my first video where I just basically spoke to you. Didn't do any drawing, but just spoke to you all. And now I've done. This is my third. No, yeah, I think no. It's my fourth class because I did the British Museum one on Friday, didn't I? Did a class in the British Museum on Friday, and this is my fourth class. We've had in total everything's had quite a few hundred views. So there's about 400 views on everything. It's quite surprising considering the channel's only existed for a week. I've only done a few videos, but it's because of you lot, really. It's because you've kind of been checking in and taking part. Because the community was there already. It wasn't sort of like a new channel which has come out of nowhere. It's just to be able to connect to you all while this is all going on. But we'll do a Zoom next week, but I'll do something else with YouTube. Okay, so I've really gone a bit heavy on all those lines. Okay, but she's in there. She's in there, and the Cupid's in there, and they've got the mirror in. Okay, everybody. So I think we're going to kind of draw things to a close. If you excuse the pun. It's been wonderful. Have I got any more images? I think I probably have. No, I don't know. No, I don't think I have. Have I? No. No. And, well, I just hope you actually had a wonderful time tonight. I hope more from Joe quickly. Very nice. I know that's yours, Joe. And let me see if I can get that to look a bit clearer. There you go. Look at that. Fantastic, Joe. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely wonderful drawing. Oh, you are absolutely. Oh, Sophie Lipton. That was amazing. Thank you so much. Oh, you are. It's just so rewarding to be able to share. It's so life-sustaining, and it's like it provides so much meaning to have interaction with one's. These are our creative ancestors. These are our creative forefathers, and that's our DNA. That's fundamentally who we are, and this is so creatively liberating when you know that you've got these great figures in your you've got you've got them with you, really. And doing this sort of practice, drawing from them and using them creatively is a very kind of empowering thing, I believe. And I hope you've all had a wonderful experience drawing from the National Gallery collection. We'll do more next week on Zoom, and what I'll have to do is maybe provide some images on Zoom for us all to draw from together. It would be even nicer if I could get a life model to join us on Wednesday and Thursday next week. But I'll have to find a way of us having a kind of, somehow kind of, to pay the models. Thank you, John. That was wonderful. See you again soon. My pleasure. Looking. Yes. So yeah, we'll onwards and up, and we'll do more. And next week we'll do some kind of, do more drawing, obviously. And yes, I look forward to seeing you all. Okay, all the best, community, and getting more people to participate in this sort of thing because I want this. I want our heritage to be. I want this heritage to have an actual living presence in our society. Um, and I think that it could provide some real kind of useful meaning. Okay, so thank you all very much. Thanks, Danny. Thanks all for coming, and see you all very soon. All the best.